Hi guys, Alex here. Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about Candy from the Hungry Fat Chick YouTube channel, a woman who has built her career and online presence on the simple act of eating. Y'all know the mukbang genre. Candy rose to fame on the internet and is especially known as being a friend of Nikocado Avocado and accompanying him to the Heart Attack Grill in her hometown of Las Vegas, Nevada. Lately, this constant mukbanging seems to be catching up to Candy. Recently, we talked about her stay at the hospital, and a lot of people were wondering what's next for Candy. Coming up, we will be discussing her return to mukbangs, as well as her new vlog that definitely gave a closer look at what her life is really like, and quite frankly, the sad reality of her life behind the scenes. Let's just get right into it. Shall we? All right, you guys, so previously on Shook Unscripted, we talked briefly about Hungry Fat Chick's recent hospital stay, but I wanted to go a little more in depth on her first video out, as well as what happened on her most recent vlog, because things are not looking the best for Candy. I just wanted to say right off the bat that I'm not here to put Candy down, and please don't send Candy any negative, discouraging comments. It is my hope that Candy one day chooses the path that would be the best for her, but this is YouTube, and at the end of the day, it is up to her. To be frank, I was not surprised to see that after getting out of the hospital, Candy immediately went back to her regularly scheduled programming. She had already told us that that was the plan. She had just gotten out of the hospital, and that very same day, she filmed a Popeyes spicy flounder fish sandwich and shrimp tackle box mukbang. She says that she had a cellulitis infection in her lower abdomen in her stomach. She was in the hospital for this for a whole week. Now, what exactly is cellulitis? It is not something that we haven't talked about before, as Amberlynn Reid is known to have had multiple cellulitis infections over her tenure here on YouTube. So according to Johns Hopkins Medicine, I'm not a doctor, obviously, disclaimer, cellulitis is a deep infection of the skin caused by bacteria. It usually affects the arms and legs. It can also develop around the eyes, mouth, backside, or on the belly, which is in Candy's case, the belly. Normal skin can be affected by cellulitis, but it usually happens after some type of injury causes a skin break, including trauma as well as surgery. Once the skin breaks, bacteria can enter and cause infection. So this infection is usually caused when the bacteria enters an open wound. And according to the American Academy of Dermatology, obesity and especially lymphedema put people at a much higher risk of cellulitis. And also, if you have had it before, you are also at a higher risk. And I know hygiene issues can arise because it is just a reality that when you get that big, it can be hard to reach some areas of your body without help from a partner or caregiver. Okay, so now back to Candy. She says that she is going to be on antibiotics for another 10 plus days, or until this situation is cleared up. In her first mukbang back, she appears to be in good spirits, but I know from watching Candy over the years, it is clear a lot of the time that when the food arrives, her mood swiftly changes. It really reminds me of someone ordering substances, like the thrill of it all, waiting for the delivery person, or just the act of obtaining it can be part of the fun. With these delivery apps, you can watch the person when they arrive at the restaurant, how many minutes until they're making their way to your home. It has become part of the experience, and I think that she probably does receive somewhat of a thrill from it that would be comparable to waiting to meet up with someone for you know what. Candy talks about struggling with sciatica on top of her obesity, which further hinders her mobility and quality of life. The food seems to be the only pleasure left for Candy. And she claims she was the same weight 20 years ago, and she didn't have as much trouble getting around. And of course, she had age on her side at that time. It only makes sense that after years and years of putting her body through all this stress, it would lead to where we are today. I don't know if Candy can really picture her life without fast food and takeout. She would need to find something, anything to busy her hands. That can be the hardest part of the first step, is just finding something to pass the time. How can I go on without experiencing this pleasure? And the hard truth is you just have to power through it. There is no miracle cure, but day by day, week by week, and year by year, the cravings slowly subside. It really just takes time, and a lot of people don't want to hear that. Of course, when it comes to food, it's even trickier because abstinence is not possible. She has to eat something, right? I did notice on this video, the comments were not as kind as they usually are. I had seen one mentioning this could be her rock bottom, and to be honest, I have to disagree. While to some it may appear that way, I just don't think that's the way that she sees it. And she needs to see it that way for it to really be a rock bottom. Maybe she will someday. I know a lot of people stick around to kind of see, will she change or periodically check in. I don't think she's taking this hospitalization that seriously, and that's just the vibe that I get. Moving on to the video that really made me want to discuss HFC today, and that is her new vlog. It was called Just a Chat About Nothing. It's unusual to see anything other than mukbangs from Kandi, but lately her life has been rather unusual, wouldn't you say? In this video, we get kind of a glimpse into the day-to-day life of Kandi, and to be honest, it appears rather bleak. She opens the video by saying that she didn't feel like doing a mukbang that day. It couldn't be the fact that her audience's response has been rather poor ever since the hospitalization. I think she's laying on a lazy boy or something. I get this feeling this is what she does day after day.
This is what I do. I get up and I come out here and I just sit in this chair.
She even talked about needing someone to take her garbage out in a previous video. These little things could really help her before she reaches a point of no return, such as being bedbound, and just taking care of her chores is just one step that could prevent that. She claims that she had gotten tired just looking through the menus of local restaurants. She says she feels hungry, but she just doesn't feel like doing anything. She's tired of everything. And I know this feeling. It's actually very familiar for me. You're hungry, but nothing sounds all that great, so you wait and wait until all that's open is McDonald's or something. At least that's how it is where I live, but Kandi is in Vegas, so she can probably get whatever she wants, whenever she wants. She seems to be in the grips of a very depressed state. She says she sits on her chair day after day watching TV, playing games, and, quote, taking ibuprofen. She doesn't want to cook because her hip, and says she gets a little exercise going back and forth around the house, but clearly it's not enough. I feel really sad for Kandi at this point. I do think that there's a part of her that wants to get better. I mean, there's definitely a part of her that wants to feel better, but her depression, sciatica, and obesity really gets in the way of that. There's also the, quote, problem of her job. Her job is to eat. Mukbangs is her thing. If she doesn't eat, will people watch? People who don't do YouTube might not understand, but it's probably important to her. Part of her feels like she has to do these mukbangs. Maybe she worries she wouldn't be able to pay her bills if she switched to something different. At the end of the day, though, her health is worth more than money, and maybe she could find some kind of balance because the situation is becoming rather dire. So continuing on with the video, Kandi talks about how she struggles lately with imposter syndrome, and she feels as though she's pretending to be a person. And it's honestly kind of sad to hear her dehumanize herself in that way. But I feel like she doesn't really do much of anything, but there are things that she can do. And because of that, it's hard for her to relate to other people. She notices that the comments are getting, nastier. And there is a difference between constructive versus hateful, right? I mean, people see her in this current state and they are fearful for her. And sometimes that frustration leads to these kinds of comments. But at the end of the day, I don't think that that is helping her any. Kandi has been doing eating content for years, not just the mukbangs on YouTube, but also more adult content. I feel as though food has become so linked to her identity. I mean, even her username is hungry. And so her job, her personality, she has completely surrounded herself with food as her main identity. And she is self-aware. She knows that this has become somewhat ridiculous. But she does lead a very different life than you and I. I mean, because she wakes up so late, she laments that she only really eats one meal a day, but she doesn't lose any weight because of the sheer size of the meals and how she eats mostly takeout. I noticed that whenever she talks about the possibility of weight loss, she kind of clams up. And I wonder if this is because she doesn't want to turn off some of her subscribers that are there for that kind of content. It feels like, looking at her comments, there's two different groups. People that want to see her get better, that want to see her succeed, and then there are those that are just here to enjoy the eating content. Now, she has said in the past that she really doesn't have any plans to do any kind of weight loss content, and if you're not here to watch her eat, then you might as well move along, because she just doesn't really have any plans to do anything other than the mukbangs. But her energy has been so low lately that she couldn't even do the mukbang she had scheduled that day, and she doesn't even have the energy lately to microwave anything. It has to be delivered. It was a very melancholy video, and it just feels like food is her purpose. For the last several hours, she was simply flipping through menus, trying to decide what she was going to eat for that day. And she admits that lately she's been spiraling. Towards the end of the video, and this kind of caught me off guard, she says that she is struggling with, quote, gender stuff, and I'm not totally sure what she meant by that, and I really don't like to speculate because I hate when people do that to me, but I do hope that she finds peace, whatever it is that is troubling her. She also opens up that in addition to the food, she also has an addiction to shopping and she has trouble saving. I feel like this goes hand in hand with the food. It's almost like she is addicted to overconsumption, whatever that may be. And that could be linked to her childhood. I know that when we discussed Amberlynn Reid and she has talked about her childhood and how she didn't have very much. So now in her adulthood, she overcompensates. And I do worry that Kandi is struggling with the same thing. She worries that maybe one day she'll be in a situation where she is unable to provide for herself. And so for now, and her way of coping with that is basically going overboard. Anyways, you guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I just feel like the situation that Kandi is in and the dangerous spot that she is at, lately it has just become too real. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will, of course, catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.